Positive affirmations are not just trendy self-help buzzwords, they're tools of transformation that work at the intersection of neuroscience, psychology, emotional healing, and spiritual growth. When most people first hear about affirmations, they think of simple phrases like, "I am strong," or "I am beautiful," or "I attract abundance," often repeated with the hope that saying them enough times will make them come true. But to really understand and tap into the true power of affirmations, we need to go much deeper, beyond repetition and into the energetics of belief, the subconscious mind, and our relationship with identity. Let's begin there, because affirmations are not just about changing thoughts. They're about shifting identity. Every time you say, "I am confident," you are not just describing a mood, you are planting a seed about who you believe you are. And identity is powerful. It drives behavior, shapes your decisions, and dictates what you think you deserve from the world. This is why affirmations that align with a deeper vision of yourself can feel uncomfortable at first, because they bump up against old identities that were built from past wounds, limiting beliefs, and inherited narratives. You might say, "I am worthy of love," but feel a tightness in your chest, or even a sense of disbelief. That's not failure, that's feedback. It's your subconscious showing you exactly where healing is needed. The subconscious mind, where many of our core beliefs live, is like the operating system of your life. It runs 95% of your thoughts, emotions, and habits. And most of what's there wasn't chosen consciously, it was absorbed from childhood experiences, family dynamics, cultural conditioning, trauma, and repetition. The way the subconscious works is that it accepts repeated input without critical analysis, especially when it's paired with emotion. That's why affirmations are powerful. They are deliberate, conscious inputs into a system that has mostly been running on autopilot. They act like a tuning fork, repeatedly sending new frequencies of thought that slowly replace old, disempowering scripts. But it's not just about saying the words. For affirmations to truly reprogram your inner world, you need to infuse them with presence, intention, and aligned emotion. Neuroscience shows us that the brain doesn't change through information, it changes through experience. So when you say an affirmation, you need to feel it. Engage your senses. Visualize it being true. Feel what it would be like to live from that truth. When you say, "I am calm and grounded," don't just say it. Breathe deeply, feel your feet on the ground, and allow the nervous system to soften. That's where the real shift happens, when the body starts to believe what the mind is saying. There's also a spiritual layer to affirmations that's often overlooked. Words are energy. Sound carries vibration. Ancient traditions from India to Egypt to indigenous wisdom systems have always understood this, that sound and language can heal, awaken, and create. In Sanskrit, mantras are a form of affirmation. In biblical texts, it says, "In the beginning was the Word." Even in modern quantum physics, we see echoes of this idea, that intention and observation influence reality. So when you speak affirmations from a grounded, conscious place, you are not only influencing your internal state, you're affecting your energetic field. Over time, this field begins to resonate differently, and the world around you subtly responds. People treat you differently. Opportunities seem to appear. But they're not appearing out of nowhere, they're now aligning with your shifted identity and vibration. Another overlooked piece of affirmation work is shadow integration. Often, we use affirmations to try to cover up pain. But healing isn't bypassing, it's meeting what's real with compassion. If an affirmation feels false, go underneath it. What belief is sitting in resistance? What story does that part of you believe? And can you offer it a bridge, a softer affirmation that begins where you are, not where you think you should be? For example, instead of, "I fully love myself," maybe it's, "I'm open to learning how to love myself." That's still affirming growth, but it's honest, grounded, and your subconscious won't reject it. Over time, those smaller steps build trust with yourself. That's key, because affirmations work best when you're in relationship with them. Not just repeating phrases to get a result, but using them as tools for self-dialogue, healing, and transformation. Let's also talk about timing and environment, because when and where you practice affirmations matters. The subconscious is most receptive in transitional states, early in the morning just after waking, during meditation, or right before sleep. These are times when your brain is in theta or alpha waves, states associated with deep learning and relaxed awareness. This is why many people include affirmations in their morning or bedtime routines. Saying them while looking into your own eyes in the mirror, what's called mirror work, can be especially powerful. It creates a sense of accountability and intimacy with the self. Also, anchoring affirmations to your breath, to movement like yoga, or to creative practices like journaling or art can deepen their integration. Now, let's zoom out to the practical effects. What actually changes when you commit to affirmation practice? At first, it may feel subtle. You'll notice that your inner critic is quieter. That you're more resilient to stress. That when things go wrong, you speak to yourself more kindly. Over time, you start making different choices, you walk away from things that drain you, you take more risks aligned with your goals, you say no more easily to what doesn't serve you. This is because affirmations aren't just thoughts, they're training your nervous system and emotional patterns to respond from a place of trust instead of fear. And when you combine affirmations with aligned action, even small ones, they begin to shift your outer world. You send the job application. You start the creative project. You leave the toxic relationship. You begin to see evidence that your inner change is real. That's when affirmation work moves from belief to embodiment. In closing, positive affirmations are not a magic solution, but they are a deeply effective, accessible, and profound practice for rewiring your inner world and reawakening your connection to your highest self. The key is not perfection, it's presence. It's consistency. It's curiosity. When you speak to yourself with love, intention, and truth, even just for a few minutes a day, you slowly build a new inner landscape. One that supports your healing. One that reflects your worth. One that reminds you, again and again, that you are the author of your own story. So start where you are. Speak to yourself with compassion. Plant the words like seeds. Water them with patience. And trust, your life will begin to grow in ways you never imagined.